Bon dia. And that's about as far as it goes, I'm afraid. But we'll see if it gets better during the course of the day. Thank you very much for being here today. It's my pleasure to talk for the next 20 minutes about digitization and cybersecurity. What's happening with digitization is remarkable. Digitization is all around us. And it is creating a huge opportunity for businesses and for consumers. That opportunity exists because it provides organizations with an amazing opportunity to connect with their customers. The price of sensors has reached a level whereby sensors can be incorporated into everything. That provides organizations with an amazing opportunity to understand their customers more intimately and to be able to provide what their customers are looking for. And by virtue of that, create incredible competitive advantage. For consumers, it presents an opportunity to increase flexibility, to increase choice, and increase knowledge. This is providing an opportunity for businesses. It is causing an explosion of devices that are connected. If you estimate today we have around about 15 billion devices that are connected, and by 2030, the estimates are that that number will increase to approximately 500 billion devices. That is an explosion. That is presenting an amazing opportunity, but it also presents, of course, challenges and concerns. How do organizations take advantage of this opportunity without being constrained by the concerns that they have around cybersecurity? Well, let's go back and ask the question, why do racing cars have brakes? At first glance, you might think, well, racing cars have brakes so that they can slow down and stop. Well, actually, no. If you think about it, cars, and in particular racing cars, have brakes precisely so that they can accelerate and go at maximum speed without concern, knowing that if something goes wrong, they have the ability to be able to slow down and stop. I would encourage you to think about cybersecurity as being like the brakes on a car. Don't think of cybersecurity as being something that requires that as a business you have to slow down because of the risks entailed, but rather cybersecurity allows you to embrace the opportunities of digitization at maximum speed and enable your business to drive maximum competitive advantage from the opportunities that exist. There are, of course, challenges that businesses are grappling with today. The primary challenge is that the group that has benefited more than any other from digitization are the hackers, the attackers. They have really been able to take advantage of digitization in today's world. Why is that? First of all, because of the attack surface. As you increase the number of devices that are connected, so you increase the gaps between the elements of security that organizations have in place, and you increase the attack surface that provides an opportunity for those attackers. The attackers themselves are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and they are becoming increasingly determined. They are nation states. They are hacktivists, they are organized criminal syndicates who are smart, very determined, very patient, and very well funded. their sophistication is correspondingly increasing. They have the tools at their disposal to be able to reach their target. And as we are seeing very frequently in the news, they are increasingly successful in getting access to the data within the organizations that they wish to target. And the threats, as they increase in sophistication and as they increase in their success rate, are taking advantage of the gaps that exist in this world of digitization. The main issue for organizations is that they face an incredible degree of complexity and fragmentation. Many large organizations have between 40 and 60 different security solutions in their organization. Those solutions, in many cases, those products were not necessarily designed to work effectively together, and they do have gaps between them. And the attackers are very adept at finding those gaps and using them to their advantage to get into the organization and remove the data that they have their eyes on. The attackers are also increasing their stealth. They are very subtle. They are very good at hiding their tracks. The problem for organizations is that the number of alerts that they receive is overwhelming. And the challenge is, how do they identify the alert that is the one that is actually relating to an attack that is taking place, rather than the many false positives that organizations have to deal with? Large organizations on average can receive around 17,000 alerts. That is an incredible number. And only around 19% of them actually prove to be reliable. Speed is also an issue. The attackers are becoming faster in achieving their goals, and organizations are still way too slow in terms of identifying attacks when they take place. The industry average to detection of an attack that has taken place is 200 days. That is way, way too long. And the more damage is done, the longer it takes an organization to identify that an attack or an invasion in their organization has taken place. The challenge that organizations face is what we refer to as the security effectiveness gap. If you implement a security solution within your organization, if you have one security product, you have a very low degree of complexity. You've got one product to manage, and you have a relatively modest amount of capability. What you want as you implement security solutions within your organization is to find the perfect balance between capability whilst keeping complexity at a reasonable level. The challenge is that as organizations add security solutions, yes, their capabilities increase, but so dramatically does their complexity, at a point at which, for every new security solution they add, they're adding more complexity than the capability that that incremental product or solution is providing. The other challenge that organizations are facing is regarding the skills capability that they have within their organization. From a business standpoint, the situation is a challenge. Over a third of organizations indicate that they have significant obstacles as it relates to the expertise of cybersecurity within their organization. And we estimate that across the industry, there is probably a shortage today of around 1 million individuals that have the necessary cybersecurity skills that organizations are looking for. And the expectation is that that will increase to 1.5 million over the next 3 years by 2019. So that is a challenge. Organizations are not able to identify the talent they need from a cybersecurity standpoint, and they're often finding that that talent is moving once they have them within their organization. Now, for those of you that are in cybersecurity, or for those of you that have children that are interested in cybersecurity, the opportunities, of course, are phenomenal. It is a great skill to have. Cybersecurity professionals can earn 9% higher salaries than other IT positions. They are in hot demand. So for the individuals, it's a great opportunity. For the organizations, it is a challenge. And that challenge is reflected in the concerns that professionals have. 48% of executives are very concerned about security, and their concerns are not being alleviated. 41% of them are more concerned about security than they were 3 years ago. And so, how do we address these issues? How do we look at security and get to the point where security really is a business enabler? How do we get to a point at which organizations actually see security like the brakes in their car? They see security as providing them with the confidence to accelerate the digitization and drive competitive advantage for their business. Well, the first thing is that organizations need to look at the challenges that they're facing and address them with 3 considerations that I will reveal to you as soon as this computer wishes to very gently move on to the next slide. All right, so I'll try and remember what is on the next slide while we see if we can get to it. The first thing that organizations need to do is to look at how they can consolidate the infrastructure that they have from a cybersecurity standpoint. I spoke earlier on about between 40 to 60 security products that organizations have within their environment. It really is not a surprise that that creates gaps, that it creates inefficiencies in terms of how they are dealing with their cybersecurity environment. Organizations must reach a point, they must reach a degree of confidence whereby they can look at their cybersecurity posture and reduce the total number of security products that they have. 40 to 60 products that were not designed to work together will not resolve the challenge that organizations are facing. Secondly, organizations must look at automation as being the key to driving effectiveness within their organizations by having the various parts of their cybersecurity infrastructure talk together in a way that is effective. Okay, good. So consolidation, automation, and integration, the components of their cybersecurity infrastructure need to work more effectively together. Now, often cybersecurity professionals look at the balance between best-of-breed portfolio and integrated approach, and the answer is you need both. As an organization looking to defend yourselves against these sophisticated attacks, you need to make sure that you have the best products that are available, but you need to make sure that you have an integrated approach where the components of your solution are working effectively together. And at Cisco, we believe that it is important to make sure that you are focused on the reality of what can happen in your environment. Many organizations spend a lot of time, effort, and budget focused on building up their defenses, which is the before phase of a cybersecurity attack. That is important. It is important to have defenses, but that alone will not suffice. You need to make sure that you have the defenses in place, the policies in place to minimize the likelihood of an attack, but you've got to recognize the reality of today's environment whereby attacks will succeed. So you need to be able to deal with an attack when it takes place. The second and third phases of an attack are during the attack and then after the attack takes place. So during an attack, you need to be able to detect that the attack is taking place and be able to block it. And after an attack has succeeded, and this is where many organizations fail, you must be able to return to a state of normal business as quickly as possible. That is really where the risk to a company's brand exists. The longer it takes an organization to return to a point of normal business operations, the greater the risk is to the integrity of their brand and the trust of their customers. At Cisco, we have an incredible amount of cybersecurity research, and this is fundamentally important to organizations because you've got to understand not just the risks that exist to your organization, but the overall industry threat landscape. At Cisco, our research intelligence organization called Talos analyzes 1.1 million samples of malware every day, makes that information and intelligence available to our customers in the cloud, and allows organizations to be able to get the advantage of the industry-wide intelligence that exists and relate that to the particular threats that they are encountering every day. It also allows us to take this intelligence and incorporate it into the products that we're developing so that we evolve our capabilities in a way that provides real value to customers. Advanced malware protection is one of the most important parts of any cyber security posture for organizations. As the attacks become more sophisticated, so organizations need to make sure that they have the capability to protect against the evolving sophistication of attacks. Advanced malware protection ensures that if you do encounter a malware attack within your organization, you can detect it quickly and ensure that you can return to a normal state as quickly as possible. And the way that you can think about remediation or retrospective security, as we refer to it, is like the flight recorder in an airplane. If something goes wrong on a flight, something goes wrong with an aircraft, the flight recorder will give you the intelligence you need to understand what happened and be able to return to a normal state as quickly as possible. Advanced malware protection does that by allowing you to see when a file that you previously thought was safe turns out to be malicious, allows you to backtrack and see what devices across your extended network were touched by that malware and ensure that they are cleaned, allowing you to return to a normal state as quickly as possible. I mentioned earlier on that the industry average for time to detection, the industry average is 100 days. In many cases, it can be more than that. With the capabilities that we have developed within Cisco through Talos, our intelligence research organization, and the capabilities across our security portfolio, we have been able to reduce that average time to detection to less than 1 day. It is still not good enough. We cannot rest on our laurels. We need to reduce that down to minutes so that organizations are able to detect attacks as soon as they happen and return to normal business operations. Gartner have indicated that for organizations to be effective in their cybersecurity posture, they must enable the network to be an integral part of a strategy. And at Cisco, we use the network as a foundation for our security capabilities that we provide to organizations, using the network as a sensor and using the network as an enforcer of effective security policies. The network has to be the key to providing key differentiation in terms of the effectiveness of cybersecurity. And I would conclude with the argument that if you as an organization have an effective cybersecurity strategy within your organization, it will indeed act as an accelerator of your business development, because a solid posture and strategy relating to cybersecurity will help your organization be more effective overall. First of all, in terms of hyper-awareness, if you have an effective cybersecurity strategy, you are aware of the risks that your organization is facing, and you are in a highly sensitive and in a state where you can react to whatever challenges your organization is facing. In terms of informed decision making, you know where your cybersecurity spend is being focused, and you know what the return on that investment is. And in terms of fast execution, the ability to be able to make digitization an opportunity and an advantage to your business, these are areas where ultimately your agility in terms of your cybersecurity posture will be providing you with a solid foundation to be able to embrace the opportunities of digitization, provide your customers with more value, and allow you to create competitive advantage in the marketplace. Thank you very much.